Unit 10, Arizona Elk Hunting 2023, what you need to know, what it's all about. I personally have shot a bull in Unit 10 on an early rifle hunt 10 years ago. And for that year, it was a pretty good bull. There wasn't a ton of precipitation. It wasn't completely a drought year, but it wasn't a fantastic year as far as food and precipitation go. And it was just a total blast. Elk rutting, you get to hunt them with a rifle. I shot a very good bull. I'm very happy with it. And if you want to really know the number, I think I had a buddy hard tape it, not giving me an extra 8 at like 363. I'm just tickled with it, love it. Anyway, that being said, I like Unit 10, and I have experience in Unit 10. I have personal success in Unit 10, and I want you to know that because Unit 10 is a very difficult unit to hunt. It's very difficult. It's huge, and there's a lot of obstacles in various forms. Okay, it's a very big unit, relatively speaking. And a little historical facts about Unit 10. There actually weren't very many elk ever in Unit 10 until 20 years ago. I know some guys that grew up living in Ash Fork and Seligman, and they're like, we never had elk here growing up, and now it's one of the premier elk units in the state of Arizona. Much like Unit 9, we have to look at its northern border and understand what gives it that appeal. There is some serious stuff on the northern border in Unit 10. I mean, you have it bordering Indian Reservation, which is like Grand Canyon National Park stuff. You have multiple Indian reservations. You got bulls coming out of the park. You got bulls coming from Unit 9 into Unit 10. There's just a melting pot in that northern section of Unit 10, which really attracts the trophy, higher, mature, big bulls. That being said, the southern half of the unit really has produced some giant bulls too. So it's not always about what the boundary is, because what I said before, it's a really big unit. So when you get to that western side, it's just giant, and there's a lot of antelope country, a lot of junipers, a lot of canyons. I mean, a lot of stuff to walk through and pick through. Not any big giant glassing areas that you can really find these elk once they've kind of pushed into some spots and tucked in there during the rut. I mean, it's stuff that you got to put your boot miles on. And as a bow hunter, we know how that happens. I mean, you can spend a lot of time and be 120 yards from a big bull elk all day long. That does not equate to you being successful. So a lot of friends of mine hunt that early season archery elk. That's a real popular one where I live in Prescott because it's just our backyard here. Same with Unit 8, but Unit 10 is really more of our backyard and real big trophy bulls. And people can draw those tags reasonably. It's kind of like Unit 9. I mean, it really does take you about 20 points to draw, but if you're a resident, you're putting in Unit 9, Unit 1, first, second choice, I mean, every single year. So trying to get lucky, but it is a hunt that people love to go hunt cows in, are very familiar with it. So it's a very popular place to hunt and try to draw. It's very difficult to hunt just because of the range. You can go a long time without seeing a ton of elk there just because it just depends on where you're at. And you get kind of that northern half. A lot of it's just kind of sparser antelope stuff in that northern. A lot of juniper country. A lot of canyons. A lot of canyons that are like, you got to check every one of them. And the problem is when you have a lot of that cut up country, and just like that southern area too, with tons of junipers, tons of cover, tons of canyons, you can only do so much with a hunting day. And our hunting days, like in September, you have 14 days. You can only cover so much ground with your glass and your bugle and your just looking around on your feet. And it takes a toll on you because sometimes you're chasing these bulls for miles. So it's a very physically challenging hunt, much different than Unit 9. The beauty of Unit 10 is versus Unit 9 is Unit 9 is pretty much all flat. If I'm going to rank it, it's like a flat unit for the most part. Unit 10 actually does have some opportunities to glass from. So it is very big and there's lots of canyons. It's very cut up, very thick, lots of antelope country, lots of low density elk country in Unit 10 as well. but there are places where you can glass, and there are places where you can set up and you can hike in and you can kind of get away from some people. So there is opportunities to really isolate, scout, target big bulls way more effectively from your glass preseason and during season than Unit 9. So that's why another reason why guys prefer to try to draw Unit 10 is they know, hey, if the rut sucks, if the elk aren't bugling, or if the weather's trash, I can still go to places in glass and be successful. Where Unit 9 is like, it's raining all day, these elk aren't going to come into water, which they still will. Even if it's raining, guys, don't count out water, man. They're not going to, these elk are rutting, they're not going to get a gallon of water off the leaves. When they've been run 20 miles last night, they need to drink water. They're not just going to suck it off the leaves. It's not late season stuff. They need water. So don't be afraid to sit water in a rainstorm, especially during the rut, because they're burning calories, they're burning fuel, they're burning hydration. So, but Unit 10 is that place where you can glass, you can drive around, you can cover ground, in that way. That's the challenge of it. It's pretty darn big. I mean, it's a big place to cover. You kind of got to focus on a general area. You can't expect to like scout the whole unit. You got to kind of focus on spots and transition, and then do your scouting in that way. And then you have the Big Boquillas Ranch, or the Big Bow Ranch as it's called, and that can deter people. I don't really understand why it does. Game and Fish just had another, from what my understanding, they put another agreement in place where you can still hunt it next couple years. You got to pay a little bit of money to get on, and by a little bit, I actually do mean a little bit. It's less than $100 to go hunting on there. You can't drive quads, you can't go off road, do all that kind of stuff. But there's some great elk country in there, and it does deter people. You spend $150 on a tag as a resident, $665 as a non-resident. Pay the trespass for whatever, $100 or whatever it is. I haven't checked what it is this year. I know, I forget, like even as an outfitter or guide, I feel like the last time I looked at it, it was like $300 or something like that. You can't do a whole lot of scouting preseason. You can't go in there and just joy. You can't go in there and shed hunt. You can't go in there and do all these things. There is definitely some restrictions there, but man, if I draw Unit 10 tag, which I have, like I said, buy those passes. I didn't shoot mine in there, but I really wanted to get in there and look and make sure that I was seeing what was there and making sure I did my scouting. It's all really about giving yourself the best chance, the best opportunity to be successful. So getting a big Boquillas ranch permit and access is 100% just investing into your hunt. It's not going to cost you a ton, and it really is just giving you more and more opportunities on potentially being successful in your hunt. These hunts are such a sprint in Arizona. The early archery hunt is 14 days. Boom, it's over. Early rifle hunt, 4 days, or sometimes a week, just depending on the units. But primarily it's 4 or 5 days. Late rifle, 7 days. Late archery, 14 days. I mean, these are just sprints that, and they're all broken up over a period of 4 months. So it's not like they happen right away, right back to back to back to back. I mean, you really have to do your homework. You have to get in there. So Unit 8 is a matter of just covering ground, or Unit 10, sorry. Unit 10 is just a matter of covering ground and getting in there and moving and understanding where these elk are patterning, understanding where they're watering. Get into some of that antelope country, check in some of that antelope stuff, check into some of that state trust checkerboard stuff. There's some walk-in only stuff on the east side of the state, east side of the unit. There's some really, really good stuff all over, whether it's more ponderosa pines on the southern half of that unit, or it is more antelope country, rolling juniper stuff on the southwest of that unit. And obviously the northern boundary holds all the Indian reservations, some of that national park stuff that can come over, some of that Unit 9 stuff that can transfer over. But really Unit 10 is a fantastic unit for it has a little bit of everything big unit to kind of get out and explore. It's got some glassing spots for guys that like to glass. It's got water holes for guys that want to sit water. It's got pine trees, timber for guys that want to chase bugles in the timber. It's got a little bit of everything. So expect to see a lot of country. Expect, hunting pressure. When you have a unit that big, hunting pressure is going to be a little less. So I will say about Unit 10, the hunting pressure is not quite as high as, say, Unit 8 during like the late rifle hunt or the early archery hunt, just because of the square footage, square mileage of those units. Guys are spread out a little bit longer, a little bit further away from each other. And that's what I would expect. Early archery is still the primo time to hunt that. It's still where all the big bulls are getting killed. Early rifle, still where the giant bulls are getting killed in the early rifle hunt. Just an awesome unit. I highly recommend Unit 10 for anybody that wants to go and really do some exploring in the Arizona elk country. The late rifle hunt doesn't take as many points to draw, obviously, because of the rut does determine where those big bulls go, and the big bulls are a little bit harder to find during that late season, and they may not even exist in Unit 10 any longer. Hence the northern boundary, just like we talked about with Unit 9. These bulls may drift off into some Indian reservation, drift off to the national park, and not even be on the premises of Unit 10 during the late rifle. So you can draw it a little bit easier. You can still kill that 330 type bull and north of 330 for sure with the right scouting and the right idea and the right knowledge of the country and kind of where these bulls like to winter up, because it's very different from where you'll see them in August and September from where you will see them in November, December. It's a very, very different habitat. One cool hunt too that is offered in Unit 10 that I want to touch on is that muzzleloader hunt. So it's actually a really, really good opportunity to shoot a big bull. There's not a ton of tags. There's like 75 tags allotted during that. It's a late muzzleloader hunt. Happens in November, but it's a fantastic time to shoot a 350 type bull, depending on the year and the precipitation, obviously, which determines antler growth. But a great opportunity to shoot a big bull, and you don't have to expend 20 points to do it. You don't have to be in that top bonus point pass guys to draw that tag. So something to keep an eye out for. Little tip, little secret hunt in there that is not secret. It's on the regulations, but it is not. It's kind of a sleeper. It's kind of a sleeper hunt in a fantastic trophy unit where you can maybe hunt that 2 or 3 times as opposed to hunting one time early archery or one time early rifle in your life. So look at that if you're a little bit more physically capable and you have a long range muzzleloader, or you're interested in doing kind of a guided hunt type deal or outfitted hunt where some of us can provide you with a long-range muzzleloader. Myself, I'm super into long-range muzzleloaders. A good buddy of mine builds them, and so we love the long-range muzzleloader game. So whether you want to do it yourself and rent a muzzleloader, or go on a guided hunt and shoot an elk at 500 yards with a muzzleloader, not saying that's what we do all the time, but your capabilities are way out there in some of these custom smoke poles. So but yeah, you guys can check it out. Obviously, look at the regulations and see what you like, and look at the map that I've kind of gone over and highlighted some of the sections that are just great places to start, and also the draw odds, and just so you know what to expect going into the draw, and you know what you're going to kind of come across as far as territory, terrain, animals, populations, that kind of stuff. So I hope that helped, guys. I hope that you understand Unit 10 a little bit better. And then we're just going to keep rolling, guys. Super excited. The draw is a little less than a month away. The deadline is, so it's open right now. But definitely apply now rather than forget on February 15th. But yeah, good luck to everybody, guys. We'll talk to you soon.